This is from my good friend Avner Levy. He asked about my namesake. He said, and his name Avner is from his great grandfather on his mother's side, and he just passed away a few years ago. Then Nisham Shem Aliyah, and when he was alive, he was named after him. Some Jews do this as tradition, while others do not. So there's actually disagreement of opinion between Jews from the Iberian Peninsula and from Egypt. They're called Sephardic Jews, and Jews from Germany and Lithuania and Poland, like from Eastern Europe and in Russia, those are called Ashkenazic Jews. So Sephardic Jews named their children after living people, usually after even their parents on the father's side, the first one, to show that they bring the baby to the father, the grandfather, and they say, look, this is who you're named after. Try to emulate his good qualities. Whereas Ashkenazim do not name after living people, I think, to avoid some kind of ayin hara. So that's where that comes from. My name Siegel, he says, was a secular name from the Romanian. You should know Segel, the name in Hebrew, Samech Gimel Lamed. Those two letters is actually an acronym. It stands for Segun LeKahanim, the assistant of Kohanim. And what it was is a way to describe a Levi. A Levi was someone who used to wash the Kohen's hands and feet before they would do their service. And they would also sing on the Temple Mount and the temple itself. It was a tribe within, Moshe Rabbeinu was a Levi. His brother Aaron became a Kohen. But the sons of Levi, from the third son of Jacob, so it goes Reuven, Shimon, then Levi. From Levi came Moses and Aaron. Moses was a Levi, and Aaron was a Kohen. And that's how, so Siegel usually means you're a Levi. You're from the tribe of Levi. My name Ronan, actually, my mother chose it. She had a camper she really liked when she was much younger. And she had two campers, Lior and Ronan. So she named me Ronan and my older brother Lior. I always give her like a little bit of rebuke. When I had two kids, my wife agreed. Our first one was named after my great-grandmother on my mother's side. Her name was Gittel. When they made Aliyah to Israel, they called her Safta Tova. Gittel means like good, so Tova would be the Hebrew equivalent. So I wanted to name her Gittel like her name was. My ex-wife said, let's name her Gittel Tova. Let's put both names. It's really beautiful. So that's what my oldest daughter's name is. And my youngest daughter's name, she was born 4 days after my father passed away. And he once mentioned in passing that he needs a namesake for his mother. So when it happened in such close proximity, even though my ex-wife wasn't crazy about the name, but it made sense to us, so we named her Esther. That's my youngest daughter, is Esther. I always tell her, you're my grandmother. And she says, no, Tati, I'm your daughter. So we've been disagreeing on this point, but eventually she'll grow up and she'll see what I'm trying to say. I think it's beautiful to name after living people because you get to name after people in general, living or deceased, because their memory lives on forever. Forever Esther's going to know she's my father's mother. And Gudel Tova, my great-grandmother, on her saftas, So my other name, at one point I was diagnosed with a sickness. And I felt like I was really sick, and I wanted to take on a new name. It says when someone's sick, you can add a name to them, and it changes their whole persona, it changes their luck, basically. And it says a different luck can bring a different result in terms of their health. So I added the name. I chose my name Levi Yitzchak. I was born as a twin, and because I was a twin, we were taking out before reaching full term, and I was too small to have my bris at the regular day. I was born on the 27th of Tammuz. By the time they got to give the bris, they made it on a Sunday, happened to be, and the day was Chaf Menachem Av, the 20th day of the month of Menachem Av. And that day is the yahrzeit of the Lubavitch Rebbe's father, and his name was Levi Yitzchak. So when I was adding a name, I said the name that's even close to me is Levi Yitzchak, besides the fact that when we were pregnant the second time, my ex-wife kept telling me it's a boy, I can feel it's a boy, and we both agreed on the name Levi Yitzchak after the Rebbe's father. It's one of my favorite names. The Rebbe's father actually has a letter explaining the Kabbalah behind his name, but it's a very deep letter. Interestingly enough, after I added this name, I started davening differently, and like moving when davening a lot more chayis, and I started focusing a lot more on Avos Yisrael. And someone pointed out to me that this was the exact behaviors of Rav Levi Yitzchak Berditchev. Berditchev was known. It says there's a story about him. One time, someone came to his town and he saw him davening, the way he moved, and he said the person had a laughing spell for like 30 days. He didn't stop laughing, and he was known to be the greatest lover of the Jewish people. He would walk in his town, everyone knew he was a famous rabbi, and he would see a person desecrating the Sabbath, and he would say, Rabbi Yid, do you know today is the Sabbath? And he would say, yeah, I do. And he'd look up at the heavens and he'd proclaim, God Almighty, see your people, they're so honest, they won't even lie to me. Meaning, the guy wasn't embarrassed to tell him he was desecrating the Sabbath. And the Berditchever, Levi Yitzchak, was able to take this and turn it around and make it a positive statement. That was his personality. So I feel like I inherited a little bit of his personality, which I was intending really on the Rebbe's father to be focused more on Kabbalah. He was Makubal, but I still haven't I don't have really an inkling to learn Kabbalah so far. I hope this helps, and thank you so much for this question, and may God Almighty bless you in everything you do.